Good morning, my beloved, and welcome back to the Morning Minute Meditation. Thank you for dropping by on this fine morning. Let me ask you a question. Are you more interested in your need or your greed? The Bible said that the Lord shall supply all our need according to his riches and glory by Christ Jesus. But sad to say, there are many believers who get caught up in their greed instead of their need. The Apostle Paul, when writing to Timothy, made this mention in 1 Timothy 6, verse 9 and 10. He said, "But they that will be rich," in other words, that is, their intention is to be rich, "they fall into temptation and a snare, and into many," not a few, but many foolish and hurtful lusts, which drown men in destruction and perdition. In other words, deep, deep sin. Great sin comes out of all of this pursuit of greed. Verse 10, he says, "For the love of money is the root of all evil, which while some have coveted after, they have pierced themselves through with many sorrows." There's absolutely nothing wrong with ambition or wanting and desiring to succeed, because the Bible clearly teaches us that whatsoever our hand finds to do, we're to do it with our might. But there is this thin line where people cross into not just ambition and not just a desire to succeed, but into this greed of gain. Now, I was reading behind Sir Fred Catherwood, who was a British politician and author. He was the son-in-law of Martin Lloyd-Jones. And he made this statement. He said, "Greed is the logical result of a belief that there is no life after death. We grab what we can while we can, however we can, and then we hold on to it as hard as we can." In other words, there is a lack of belief in God and life after death, and we treat this life as if this is all there is to it. I have loved to read behind Leo Tolstoy. And Leo Tolstoy made this mention in a story of his in his writings about a greedy man who was promised that for 1,000 rubles, he could own all of the ground that he could walk around before the sun set. As the sun came up, he began to walk the perimeter of the ground he wanted to gain to buy with his 1,000 rubles. And he started out with a very fast pace because his greed wanted him to gain as much as he possibly could. He began to run until he got tired, and then he walked for a while, and then he realized he wasn't going to get back to the starting point on time, and he would lose everything. And so he began to quicken his pace once again and run, he did. And as the sun was setting, he reached the finish line. He crossed the finish line just as the sun was at its final point of going down, and he collapsed at the finish line, bleeding from his mouth, breathing heavily, and then died. His farm workers dug a hole about 6 foot long by 3 foot wide and buried him in the hole, and that's all the ground any of us will eventually ever have. The truth is, greed keeps us from the most important thing that we could have in life, and that is contentment and satisfaction. I've watched greedy men try to gain, and they're never happy. Hey, put your focus on the one who has everything to meet your need. Think on these things today, Fred, and have yourself a great day.